Hi, my name is Olivia Higgins, and this is my story. Um, okay, so back in 2018, I lost a friend. He wasn't just a normal friend that I had. This was someone that I went to college with, and he was like my backbone. Um, I lost him, and I didn't know what to do because he was somebody that was always there for me, day in and day out. And he was somebody that really, really, really believed in everything that I did. How I lost him was through a heart attack. He had a heart attack, and um, I really wish they did something to save him. And this was the first person in my life that was just a friend that I lost. Um, when I went to his funeral, it was really sad because I've never seen him like that. He was always a strong person. He was always a person that I could call on, I can reach out to, and knew that he would always be there. And after his funeral, what really hit me was the fact that he was no longer there. That the next birthday that I had, he wouldn't call me. The next Thanksgiving, the next Christmas, he wasn't going to call me. And I visited his grave the year after. So in 2019, around his birthday, I went to his grave, and it was really hard for me because I've never, I've never, I've never experienced death like that before. I've never had to go visit someone's grave after their death. And I didn't know what to do. I went there and I just started crying, and I prayed to God that whatever I was doing was okay. And that was sufficient because he was no longer there for me. And at that moment, I also realized that that was a way of me letting go of all of the feelings that I had for over a year after he died. Um, and what I also realized was that I was holding in a lot of things because of his death. So I wouldn't speak about him a lot. I wouldn't, talk to his family members or even talk about what had happened. And after that year that he died and visiting his grave, that was one way of me like releasing all of those emotions that I had. And after I did that, I was able to really like understand what grieving looked like. I was able to really understand that it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay even after someone's death, whether it be a few months or a year. It's okay to let go of all of those emotions. And recently I thought about him, and I prayed and I said, God, well, I hope that, he's resting peacefully, because there's so many people that are dying, and a lot of people don't know how to grieve. And for me, the first step of me to letting go of that feeling that I had was by going to his grave and actually just, speaking to him like if he was there. And another way that I really thought, okay, well, maybe this is the first step, by actually speaking about the situation, about what happened. Because when it happened, I never spoke about it after that day. And recently, when I saw his picture on Instagram, I reached out to his cousin and I asked her, how are you doing? How are things with you and your family? Because during that time, I didn't want anything to do with his family or what would have been associated by him, because of how much I missed him, because of the loss that I had. And she told me that, she appreciated me for reaching out and, seeing if she was okay, seeing if the family was okay. And that's something that I feel like that was a part of my grieving as well. Generally reaching out to see, okay, well, hey, you're okay. Is everyone else okay? Because they experienced the same loss that I experienced. And one thing that I also realized throughout this time is I never gave up on God and what He had in plan for my friend. Because even though that was 2 years ago, it still feels fresh. And throughout that time, I questioned God, saying, why did He take him away? He wasn't, finished with His work here on earth. And after going to his grave, I realized that maybe this was in God's plan for him to leave an imprint, to leave a good one at that. And I would definitely say, if you are struggling with a loss in your family or just a friend, and you're grieving, know that God is there for you. Yes, you may have a lot of questions. Yes, you may have a lot of doubts, but just know that God is there and He is taking care of those that you love the most. Just trust in Him. And honestly, He's the only one that you can trust, to be honest. He's the only one that you can really believe in, because there are so many distractions. There's so many things that can take you away from God's presence. And I would say that if you really are grieving, especially during this time, during 2020 and this pandemic and all that we're experiencing, just to trust in God. So my name is Olivia Higgins, and that's my story.